Guys, welcome back to World War III. Here with another episode. Want to discuss kind of the liberal media's change of direction. I saw it coming. I'm going to explain what's happening. They will be blaming Biden for everything. He's not going to run again in 2024. It was obvious from the start. He's simply too old. And we've got several headlines, even from sites like CNN, that are pissed off. They're painting Biden in a very negative light. Once again, guys, the plan for the Democrats is to blame inflation, blame Afghanistan, blame gas prices, blame it all on Biden. And then they're going to have Biden step down prior to 2024. He's so delusional at this point. He'll think he's, a hero and he's stepping down because he's too old and he values the country and stuff. When in reality, they're going to lump all of the issues onto him and they're going to get their own primary process in 2023 to elect a new candidate to run against the Republican. The incumbent advantage is a very big thing. The Democrats knew it. That's why they held on to this Biden dream as long as possible. But you look at the way the world is right now, the way America is with inflation, it is miserable. I mean, I go out to stores, guys, and it's like you see the timeline. Like 1 week you go to the store and you see something, it's 85 cents. The next week you go, it's 95 cents. The next week you go, it's $1.15. It is demoralizing, and that gets me to my next quick point I wanted to make on the gas prices. The most demoralizing is such a good word to describe this. I paid $50 to fill up a Chevy Cruze. Unbelievable, guys. But the most disturbing thing about it, and the most just ridiculous thing about it, most of these people in this current Biden administration, they love that these gas prices are so high because they want people to start using gasoline because it's bad for the environment. So as we're spending $40, $50, $60, $70, $80 to fill up a tank of gas, many of these people that are in powerful positions and many of the Democratic people, they like it. It is a demoralizing, just helpless type feeling to know that we're paying so much for the gas, and half of the people that are running our country, half of our leaders like that. They enjoy it because they want people to switch to the electric vehicles, stop using gasoline. It's horrible for the environment, and it is so sad to see. But I wanted to read off some headlines to kind of talk about the current structure, what they're doing. Really, everyone is down on Biden at this point. It's terrible. You've got this one, the memo. Biden plays a weak hand on inflation. President Biden's biggest political problem has him in a bind. Inflation is bogging down the president's approval rating more than any other issue, but there's not a whole lot he can do about it. Biden basically becomes... It basically becomes impossible for Joe Biden to be reelected if inflation continues down the path it's currently on. It's impossible, and Democrats know it. They see the 2022 midterm early polls, the data overall. It's horrible. We're seeing Democrats perform, as worse as I've ever seen via just normal, generic, general congressional election polls. Democrats losing to Republicans in the popular vote. That's how bad this administration is, and Democrats realize it. They're going to blame everything for Biden. They're going to swing it and try and say, oh, Biden's stepping down because he cares about the United States and he knows his health is in decline. There's zero chance Biden is running for re-election with his current approval rating, with the current inflation, at the age of 81 on top of all of that, where they have to hide him from, they're hiding him. He can't answer questions from the media. He's not capable. He is not capable. I do not think Joe Biden, without being heavily medicated at this point in his life, and there's nothing against Joe Biden, he's really old, but at this point in his life, I don't think he's capable of sitting down or just standing up in front of a podium for 2 hours or an hour or whatever and answering questions. He literally goes up there whenever he gets questions. It's 7 minutes. He takes 3 questions and he's done. I think the pills wear off after the 7 minutes or whatever they've got him hopped up on just so he can sit there without falling asleep. The Democrats know this Biden administration. It's demoralizing. It is terrible. We're paying $50 for gas. I am going to stores and seeing the timeline every month. The goods go up because of inflation. It is horrible. And then you say there's so many factors that go into inflation, but I want to talk about something. I want to talk about the energy issue, because to me, this is the one clear social justice warrioring, we care about the climate, to where the administration and the policies are going to start impacting the United States. So the Biden administration, Democrats, they don't care about being energy independent because they do not want to be responsible for more CO2 emissions. They don't want to contribute to global warming. So we have to get our gas from other nations. And the idea, how ignorant do you have to be? Put two and two together. The United States is the most powerful nation in the world, yet we're relying on other countries for our energy? You think that's a good idea? Oh, but we all love climate change, so we all have to stop it, so we can't make our own, we can't get our own oil and things like that. No, we care about climate change. We've got to shut the Keystone Pipeline down, yes, because you know what? We don't want to put out any CO2 emissions, even though China is already double our CO2 emissions. Yet you don't hear anyone who's upset. All these people that are obsessed with climate change, I always say it. If you're obsessed with climate change and you think global warming is going to kill us, get your ass on a plane. Actually, you can't go on a plane because that'll put more CO2 emissions. Go via a boat. Row a boat to China. Go into Shanghai and try and convince them to stop polluting our Earth, because they're putting off more than double the CO2 emissions the United States is. If we get our CO2 emissions to a net zero, it's not going to change much because we're not the #1 polluters in the world of it. China is. They're double us. They are double us. If you care about climate change, if you think climate change is going to kill our grandkids, bye-bye, enjoy Shanghai, go try and convince them. Because if you convince them, that would be a lot more powerful than convincing the United States, because they put double the emissions as the United States. But there's this self-hating thing to where we can't blame any other countries. It's always the United States' fault no matter what. And if we get our CO2 emissions to a net zero, it's going to solve everything. No, it's not. We're not even #1. China is double ours. How many times do I have to say this? But guys... Excuse me, we've also got this headline. Biden finally admits soaring inflation, a real tough problem, suggests it may get worse. The president blamed the pandemic, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and what he described as greedy oil and meat companies' price spikes rather than government spending. And I thought this was really interesting. This is a CNN headline. Let's get to this. Biden goes on the defensive over inflation and gas prices as he tries to shift the focus to Republicans. You've got Democratic news sources. They've been told, they've been given the okay by the Democratic Party. You can put out negative stories about Biden because Biden's not running in 2024. We're going to drum it up. We're going to fake it and say, oh, Biden, it's his decision to step down. He's too old. He cares about the country. He cares about the leadership. He says he's not fit to run for re-election. They're going to dress it up like that. There's no way. These Democrats are too smart. They have to realize with the way it's currently going, you've got crazy negative factors against Biden. You're seeing it in the polls in 2022. I have never seen this overall shift just on the generic ballot to where Republicans are like winning the popular vote in the country. That's how bad Joe Biden's been. That's how bad Joe Biden's been. Now this CNN article says Biden's speech comes at a moment when bad economic news appears to be piling up and Democrats are getting worried about what it could mean for their chances in November's midterms. They're going to get crushed in the midterms. That's the problem. The Democrats are going to get crushed, and that will confirm that this Biden administration, if you are the Democrats, it cannot run for re-election. There's no way. You would have no chance. You would have no chance with where inflation is, with how Joe Biden running for re-election at the age 81. Really? You think, I mean, we're already seeing a shift in the polls now. It's only going to get worse. So if you're a Democrat, blame everything on Biden. Afghanistan, inflation, anything that's negative, blame it on Biden. and then do the whole song and dance. Oh, he's old. He's, you know, he's stepping down because he values the position of power and he knows he's unfit. When in reality, he's going to have to step down because there's no way he would win in 2024, and this is a Democratic out. The Democrats tried this whole thing with Biden because they know how powerful the incumbent advantage is if they could get him to 2024. At this point, they know the incumbent advantage doesn't matter. They're like, let's just scrap that. Let's start fresh. We will make a formal announcement probably sometime in 2023 about Biden. And this is an absolute train wreck. And again, guys, the most demoralizing thing is there are many people that are in leadership right now. You go to the gas station, God, I hope you don't go. Like seriously, if someone says, I got to go to the gas station, you're going to be spending $60 or $70. You go to the gas station today, you spend $60, you got to fill up your tank of gas. There are people within this administration that love that. They love that you're spending $70 on gas and not $30 on gas because they think that it will push more people to getting electric vehicles. And we won't have to put those horrible CO2 emissions in the air. Now, listen, there's clearly an argument we need to switch to electric vehicles, but the demoralizing idea that we're paying more money and people in leadership in this country love the fact that we're paying more money, it's disgusting. It's straight up disgusting because they think it's going to force more people to go to electric cars and there won't be all the CO2 emissions that gasoline produces. It is ridiculous. But guys, just wanted to talk about what I think the overall plan is. You know, at this point, inflation is getting so bad. Everybody's got to talk about it in America. Like, everyone is, like, it's gotten so bad. You could ignore it if, whatever, you know, a few months ago. Same thing with the gas prices. Now the gas prices are getting so bad, it's really going to hurt Joe Biden and the Democrats in the 2022 midterms, and I don't see any way. They have an easy out. Biden's already so old at this point, they can just say, listen, he's unfit to run again. We get a new candidate. It's not going to be Kamala Harris. She's even more, well, I don't know at this point. I think she's actually more unlikable than Biden, and she clearly cannot run a country. You just look at her, the way she acts, just in general. Nothing against her, but no, they would not elect. I'm sure they were thinking about it with Kamala, but at this point, it's not going to be her either. They're going to go through probably a whole process to, go through a whole little election process to nominate their Democratic candidate going up against very likely, I would guess Donald Trump or DeSantis, but that's speculation for another day. Who's going to be the Republican one? We'll have to see there. But, it's very interesting. The shift overall we're seeing where you've got all these headlines, even liberal headlines coming out and saying, listen, it's bad. We admit it. I think they've been given the full go-ahead by the Democratic Party to where the Democrats are saying, we're just going to blame Biden for everything. We're going to drop him off like a sack of nothing. And we're going to say, listen, we got a new candidate in 2024. The incumbent advantage, it is important. But, Joe Biden, again, he's becoming unelected. There's zero chance he can get reelected with the way his current administration is handling all of these issues. And you go back to one of the biggest blunders ever, the Afghanistan. I haven't even touched on the Afghanistan debacle. Oh my goodness, where we left millions of dollars for terrorists in terms of weapons for terrorists to use. So there's that situation as well. And I think what we're seeing right now with gas prices, with inflation, we're seeing the difference between someone being, modern day racist or modern day sexist like Donald Trump. Like, you'd see back in 2017, 2018 when Trump was in, he's horrible, right? He's racist and sexist and bad. You're seeing the difference between someone who's bad with like the media and social justice warrior and being like a social justice warrior compared to now where you're seeing actually a bad administration. Like, this is actually affecting Americans to where we're paying more money for this stuff. Now we're seeing actual bad policies. With Trump, he's a racist, he hates Mexicans, all of that stuff. But the gas wasn't $4.50, right? The inflation wasn't crazy, and I understand the pandemic goes into all of it. Trump left right when the pandemic was happening. There's other factors, but it's just an interesting thing to where you can call Trump whatever you want, But, you know, now we're actually seeing what a bad administration's policies do to a country. And it's so sad. It really is sad to see everyone down, the inflation skyrocketing, the gas prices skyrocketing, going to a store and seeing firsthand the prices go up. So it is ridiculous, guys, but that's going to do it for this video. I'm expecting, you know, if Biden runs again, oh my goodness, what a mess that would be. There's no way. There has to be a strategy. There has to be. At this point, with all these the negative press Biden is getting from everyone, there's got to be an out strategy. And we see, you know, independent people shifting. They're like, this guy's not all there. What is he going to run for re-election at the age of 81? Really? With inflation where it currently is? They're getting crushed in the 2022 midterms already. The only logical solution, let's say they get crushed in 2022, that will force their hand and say, we've got to abandon the Biden administration. Really, we do. I mean, there's no path forward. This was just something I thought was funny from the New York Times. I got this notification yesterday. Politics. Hunter Biden turned to a Hollywood lawyer for money and help in navigating his legal troubles, drawing concern from White House allies. Just call it misinformation. Call it misinformation. He didn't get money from a Hollywood lawyer. It's misinformation, right? I was just thinking about how ridiculous that is. It's like if you murder someone, like what if I killed someone? Could I just call it misinformation? Like so I killed someone and then I go to court and I'm like, no, that's disinformation. No, you got to throw it out. It's misinformation. Like the 2020 Hunter Biden story in October. No, it's misinformation. We can't use it. Just anything you don't like, call misinformation. And that's why the words misinformation and disinformation are some of the most dangerous words today. And then Biden makes his disinformation board of directors because yes, the Democrats are going to police what is allowed to be said on the internet. One of the most ridiculous things, they use the words disinformation and misinformation as a gateway to censor people's First Amendment rights on the internet. I saw this months ago, and then they created the board about 2 weeks later. Oh, I hate those words. I just thought that was funny, and it reminded me of just like, no, just call it disinformation. New York Times, all you have to do is call it disinformation, and the story is meaningless. Just do what Twitter did with the Hunter Biden story on Twitter. No, it's disinformation. It's disinformation. I murder someone, no, that's disinformation. It's disinformation. You throw it out. Throw out the case. It's misinformation. It's false. I said it's false, so throw it out. That's what happened in 2020. It is so ridiculous that people continue to use those words. They're horrible. They try and censor the First Amendment. Please stop using them. But that was just a little funny headline there I saw, and I wanted to talk about it. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.